Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Welcome to the House of Miyazaki, the latest entry in the Houselights series here on the Nerd Party Network. This week we are continuing our series on the directed works of Hayao Miyazaki from the 1980s with 1988's My Neighbor Totoro. I'm Darren Moser and am joined again by my friends, school teacher Tristan Riddell and the moving man, John Mills. Gentlemen, it's time to slow things down, soak in those background characters, and talk about My Neighbor Totoro. I told you guys this was a different pace. It's in the last two, zero airships, although there is flying. But yeah, so again, this is the first time.
I was chagrined at the severe lack of airships.
Well, I mean, I warned you. I mean, it would seem a little out of place coming over the mountain ridge, carpet bombing the small village rice town. Not quite the mood we were going for.
Now, see, if I want to be a super nerd about it, what I'll do is I'll work My Neighbor Totoro into continuity with Nausicaa, because this is the valley pre-apocalypse.
Okay.
And this is the valley that goes on to become Nausicaa's. This is where Nausicaa's people live. There you go. I just created a continuity there with Studio Ghibli.
There we go.
Marvel has ruined us.
Yes,
it doesn't have to all be connected. There's no reason.
No, it doesn't. No, it really shouldn't either. No.
So I'll start off with when reading reviews on this movie, someone stated it in a way that I think really helps apply is this situation, this film, it's about a situation, not about a plot. So there's like an event, that happens, them moving out into the country, to be closer to their mother. And then we kind of just are there along for the ride of the day-to-day of this family. And, there's a lot of through the eyes of children. There's a lot of, imagination at play. But it's very, very different than like the previous two works where you can feel the story. This, it kind of just flows and we're just along for the ride. But I wanted to start out, because the inciting incident is them moving, and I guess all they own fits in this little tiny 3-world motorcycle engine powered truck. But putting yourselves in that kind of moment, what is the youngest that you remember moving for either of you? Is there like a memory you have attached to that?
I was seriously not expecting that question, but actually, this was my parents used to always marvel at this. I relate a story one time of remembering sitting there playing with Tinker Toys in front of a specific television set with a man who had a shaved head. Well, I mean, obviously it had a
hereditary,
a distinct. It obviously had a distinct impression on me to shave my head. No, that was apparently our real estate agent when I was 3. When we were selling our house when I was 3. So technically, one of my first memories ever is of the real estate agent coming over to the house. I have
signing
no
on the
idea
dotted line
why.
as a member of the family. Okay, that's good. You had good credit, so
absolutely no idea why I remember that. But yeah, no, I remember. Then there was, I actually remember each time that I moved. Because we moved when I was 3, then we moved when I was 5, then we moved when I was 11. So. Yeah, I remember each time. What a good question though, because like I did not expect that. Tristan, do you remember?
I do. I remember it really well because I was 18 going to college.
Oh well, there you go.
There you go. Buy house.
Yeah, I was very much the Andy scenario. No, I was born and raised. In one
Andy
house.
moves as a little boy. It's the
Yeah,
plot of the first movie.
After I said that, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
It's okay. Well, yeah.
Toy Story 3, Andy. Yeah, no, I was born and raised in the same house, and so it was interesting because there's oftentimes like people get asked that question, or people talk about how many times they moved, or how they were like a Navy brat or something and moved all the time, and I was like, nope, my parents are still in the house that I was raised in. So they've been there since 1986, and I don't think they're going to be leaving anytime soon.
Well, hold on. I have a follow-up question for that. How much has the decor or arrangement of the furniture changed in that time?
Like,
A
if we're
lot,
watching
yeah.
Frequency
Okay.
in a flash forward motion, are we going to see the things
Right.
moving around and the wallpaper reapplying?
Or once
Yeah,
the
no, there's
sofa was there, it was always there.
No. They would get new furniture all the time, and they would. I think my dad actually built an addition to the house himself. So that was something that was pretty cool.
Since you guys weren't moving, you could afford the new furniture more easily. There you go.
Yeah,
That's
There you
the
go.
trade-off
That's
right
true.
there.
That is true. Yeah, I remember moving from probably around like 9 or 10 years old, moving from Fresno to Vacaville in Northern California. And my kids, we also have moved most recently a few years back when they're kind of close to the age of these children. And I wanted to kind of just frame that at the beginning, because I think that, again, really kind of sets in motion this adventure for these kids. I mean, it's everyday life. It's, going to school and playing in the backyard, and, just, it's the little things of their daily lives. And it's not like a movie where everything becomes fantastical, but there is a lot of that. There's a lot of fantasy baked into their world, and they don't necessarily draw a hard line of, well, this kid's got issues because they're seeing, monsters in the, forest, or this kid's having this view. But what did you feel, John, for that tone? Were you expecting anything from this? I mean, everyone kind of knows Totoro as the mascot, but what were you kind of expecting to get?
I completely honestly, I was fine with the setup. I was fine with how everything was going. I was getting into it and everything. And then when they discover Totoro, I figured, and I guess this is just, movie brain working into your thoughts and stuff like that. My entire thought process went, okay, this is going to be a metaphor for something. And what I kept going back to mentally was, as way different in tone and scale and effect and all of that stuff as it could be, sort of like Pan's Labyrinth, because in that you have the young girl who goes out and she has all of these fantastical sort of encounters, but it's all a metaphor for what's going on in Spain at the time with the fascist regime and everything like that. And so with this, I kept expecting there to be some sort of big metaphor that was going to happen. And I think that what's interesting is what I thought of when you were describing earlier, where you said this isn't really about a plot. This is about just a situation that happens, a situation. I thought to myself, something that clicked was, oh, so it's like Seinfeld of anime. Nothing
it kind
happens,
of is, yeah. Things happen, but not really. It's not like so. I mean, obviously someone wrote the story, but it doesn't feel like someone sat down and said, "Oh, it'd be cool if this happened." It's almost like this is actually someone's life that we just put into a film, and which actually comes a lot probably from Miyazaki. I did look up and found out that when he was a little boy, his mother suffered from spinal tuberculosis for 9 years. And so,
my goodness.
And so they would visit her at the hospital often. So I feel a lot of that is kind of baked into this moment, of his childhood coming through from that. But with Tristan, what were you kind of expecting for this? I mean, Totoro is a little bit more well known of a character as far as visually, it's kind of it's the mascot of the studio. But John was kind of.
Speaking of Toy Story, he's in Toy Story.
He's in Toy Story. No, it's okay. You don't have to convince us you've seen Toy Story. We believe you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, what were you expecting?
Cool.
And how did that kind of play out?
I was expecting a whole lot more of story. I really was. Like, I was expecting because this round of Miyazaki films, as previous listeners may know, is my first round of Miyazaki. And so my only point of reference is Nausicaa and Castle in the Wind. And
Sky.
So Thank you. The Nazca is the wind
It's a
one.
key part of where the castle is, but that's okay.
Yes.
There's wind in the sky.
There's
Shush.
true. There's wind in this movie too.
So I was expecting something way more fanciful. So
Okay.
like something
high
like, was a lot-
fantasy, and this is like
high fantasy,
storybook
yeah.
fantasy, very low fantasy.
I think that's really apt. Like this is like if this was a little, board book that you'd read to your toddler, I totally get it. I think that would be a great experience. But a 90-minute anime, whew, like it's just I really was expecting way more driving plot and than what we got. I think that's the key difference between expectation and reality for me.
And I will say, I felt that more so in this last viewing. I mean, I've seen this movie several times, but pretty much almost exclusively with my children. Not that I don't enjoy it, by myself, but it's not something I'm going to pop in, just to brush up. Now, when you have kids, you're like, well, let's enjoy it with them. And I did feel that a little more this time, just kind of maybe because I was trying to analyze it more. This is more something I might have on in the background, like while I'm doing something. It's just kind of nice. And, there's not even really conflict. Like, it's pretty much just, I mean, there's
like the
a bit
mom
of
is
drama.
sick.
Yeah.
Like that's the drama.
That's the drama, but it's drama. It's not conflict. It's, there's,
Well,
which can work. It doesn't have to have that conflict, but it is a choice.
Well, and that's the thing, using the word drama, I really do think that it is possible, because I did not watch this with any of my kids. I do want to go back and watch it with my kids just to see.
I would be really interested to see
if
what
they
their
plug
reaction
in.
is.
Because my impression was that there is a cultural barrier I can't break through on this, because the quote unquote drama of the mother is so sterile in a sense, where there's no sense of fear or stakes at the end of it. And I'm not saying that as a slight. I'm saying I think I come into it with so many expectations, where I kept saying in the back of my mind when I found out the mom was sick was, oh, okay. Like I was saying earlier, I kept expecting Totoro and all of the other stuff to be some sort of metaphor for what was going on in their lives. Right. And then I figured,
really. It's more
right.
culturally metaphorical, which is probably what's the disconnect.
And I figured the inevitable endpoint was going to be the mom was going to die. I thought that was just inescapably what was going to happen. And when it didn't, it was bizarre. It was off-putting in a sense, because not only did she not die, which I'm not saying I'm in favor of it.
John wants the mother to die. Okay, got it. Make it a
yeah, right. Yeah,
just
that's
because
really my
this was re-released by Disney doesn't mean it was made by Disney where they need to kill the mother.
Yeah, they actually went in and rechanged the ending. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes,
they didn't do that. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them if they're like, okay, we got to get Totoro in, but we can't have that mother die. Wait, actually, what are we talking about? Disney kills all the mothers. It would be even worse.
But John, I hear you, because I felt the same way about the mom, where I was just like, oh, she doesn't even look sick. Looks like she's just kind of hanging out at the hospital, where like she's happy, she's smiling, she's just in a robe. Like my mom was in a robe all the time. But it was, right. and towards the even towards the end too, it's just like, oh, she'll be home this weekend, or she'll be home this way. She'll be home this way, and I was expecting. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting
but
something.
Not what you got.
It's not what I got. And one thing that I found interesting was when I was doing some research on this movie, I found out that this movie is semi-autobiographical of Miyazaki, where he went through that with his brother, and his mom was in and out of hospitals for 9 years because of spinal tuberculosis, and that's what people think this mother had, was tuberculosis. And he says, he's like, if I made the two characters male, like two sons, it would have been too emotional to go through. And I thought that was quite interesting. But it just, I don't want to rewrite it. But if they used Totoro, and I'm very proud of myself for saying that correctly, because I constantly say Totoro,
Oh, until Darren said it last week, I was like, oh, that's how you say it. Like, and I've been in my head, I'm drilling constantly. I'm like, say it like that, say it like that, say it like that. So yeah.
I was expecting dang it, I'm thinking about it too much.
Totoro.
I was thinking Totoro would be more of an escape from not having their mom
like an
around,
imaginary land or something.
Yeah, but they seemed like they were doing kind of fine with it until they weren't. And it wasn't really an escape. It was just a thing that happened because they moved to the country and the smoke monsters went away.
Well, and I will also say the dad was, and maybe this is more a reflection of maybe I'm overprotective or something like that, but these kids would disappear and, we can't find
This is supposed
May.
to be like the 50s, so it's a couple decades removed. But
I'm pretty sure even in the 50s, if it was like, oh, we can't find my little sister, it wouldn't be, oh, well, I'm sure she's around here somewhere. It's like, okay, come on, everybody, let's go out. Let's start calling for. Yeah. But, maybe it is supposed to be simpler time, country life sort of thing. But there's a.
Well, your neighbors, everyone kind of watches out for everyone else.
But I mean, what I mean is, I've only seen this one version, which is, I guess, the Disney dub. And
Correct.
There's no emotion. Like Tim Daly isn't delivering this with anything except this sort of like aloof love.
That was weird because Tim Daly is a very talented voice actor.
Yeah, he is.
And so he gave a very deadpan performance. And I feel like sometimes even very talented voiceover artists have a hard time when they have to confine themselves to a running time. Where it's just like, okay, you have 3 seconds to say this line.
Right. And not only a running time, but just, because it's a dub and you're trying to fit an English phrase into a Japanese mouth movement on a character. And that's very difficult.
That's what I meant by running time. I chose a poor choice of words. But yeah, that's what I meant. Like it's just like you're in the booth and it's like, okay, you have 3 seconds to say this line. Go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the antithesis of that would have been Pat Carroll as Granny was probably the most, as far as the liveliest of the characters, where, just chewing on the scenery, loving up the kids, and just, she's probably, she's in it more than the dad is probably, as far as her interactions with the children. But yeah, I liked her character. It was, the next door neighbor, the old lady.
Well, she seems in a sense a carryover, the same spirit as Ma from Castle in the Sky. Yeah. Where, again, that's the big splashy...
Castle in the Wind.
No, Castle in the...
I'm just messing. I'm totally messing with you.
I'm still trying to remember Totoro, okay? Don't mess with me too hard on this, because I don't know... that's not fair. And
wait, we get Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, Castle in the Sky. You're both right. You're just picking different movies.
Anyway, it is a carryover from that sort of thing, and I don't know if that is going forward going to be a trademark of Miyazaki's, where the elderly grandmother figure is always going to be the comic.
There'll always
one,
be a
fun
motherly figure. That's for sure. But yeah, it's, there's the other difference, I think, like you were saying, is it's not high fantasy, it's storybook fantasy. And yeah, I can't imagine, Ma from, Castle in the Sky, like walking down the road, like she'd be a larger than life, crazy person. Like, what are you babbling on about? Like that doesn't fit in this world. This is just, this is real life with hints of fantasy.
Sure. But it's the same sort of, slot. It's the most memorable character.
Right.
I watched this movie and I remember Granny.
Right.
And I latch onto her scenes and the performance. And of course, Totoro and that horrifying cat bus. I just look.
Oh my
god,
that was freaking terrifying.
I have to say it that the first time that door sort of like slid open,
the door.
I was instantly in body horror category. I've just watched too many horror movies or something like that because it freaked me out. And the Cheshire Cat illusion is very, very clear, and it's one of these things where it's very fanciful, it's very interesting, but I kept expecting some sort of metaphorical thing tied to it. And instead
It's just a bus that's a 6-legged cat. Or,
right.
Yeah.
I
Did it
was
have
expecting like a stretching noise when the door opened, like
Yeah. Instead, we got
that would have been
this,
awful.
We got this sci-fi like warble.
kill me.
Okay,
With rats for ears.
Zero. Well, those are the lights that are. If you notice the bus that they actually see when they're waiting, it has all the same elements of the little corner lights. But I'm not trying to defend the cat bus. The cat bus is an interesting choice, but yeah. Well, let's talk about the performances. So the other interesting choice with the Disney version is you have the Fanning sisters, actual sisters playing sisters, with Dakota and Ellie Fanning playing both Satsuki and May. And this has to be one of those recording situations where they're in the same room playing off each other. I cannot imagine them recording them separately, for a lot of these interactions. But I think their performances are great. I can clearly understand what they're saying. They're they're having to fit a dub, so I'm not quite sure how you teach kids to fit dub lines, but I think they did, a great job, and lots of, crying and, and mixed in, and emotion. These characters wear their emotions like children, where, especially for May, when she's upset or missing something, or, she is the epitome of the little sister, like always following her big sister around and, repeating what she says, doing exactly the same thing. What did you guys think of those performances for the main characters, really, the sisters?
I was surprised at how well Elle Fanning did. I don't know how old she would have been. I didn't look up how old she was when she recorded it, but she was clearly super young, and I think this was her first role.
I want to say 10 to 11, somewhere in that she might have been, but I'd have to confirm.
Really? Oh, okay. But yeah, it's just I thought she did a great job. She really sold the emotion. It felt like I was listening to a 5-year-old. I felt like I was hearing that type of character and that type of actor, and so I think she really sold it. And
Um,
She would have been like 6 or 7 at
oh,
the
okay,
most.
that
makes sense.
That sounds more.
I think I came across something else differently, but of how old she would have been, in 05. Oh yeah, so sorry.
Because I think I was more drawn to her than I was Dakota. I think they both did great, but for some reason I was much more wowed by Elle Fanning's performance, just because you could tell that she was so much younger.
Right. It's not the Animaniacs or Tiny Toons or whatever, where it's the Bart
We
Simpson,
get a 30-year-old woman,
who just plays the little kid. It's like, no, this sounds like a kid. It acts like a kid. Has the little subtle differences in their speech that like are really hard for adult brains to say, like, that's what I'm going to say, because they just say it. They're kids. You don't have to act. You're just being a child.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you think, John?
Well, I thought they brought great energy. And so I didn't, it's going to be an odd way to say it, but I didn't sit there thinking about the performances. So most likely, for instance,
You're just looking for that metaphor.
No. Like, yeah, but like with Tim Daly, like we said, where like I'm hitting that performance. I'm stumbling on it. And I'm like, it's not really clicking here. But with the kids, it was very natural. I mean, to your point, it sounded like real kids being kids. And I think that is probably the largest part of charm that comes through, is that you can tell that it's authentically children playing these roles.
And sisters, because authentically.
I don't know how important that would have been, but I'm sure that it added to the natural way that they sounded with each other, that there wasn't a standoffishness in any of the scenes.
Or maybe that helped Elle's performance, it being her sister versus it being someone else that she doesn't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just speculating.
I think that's probably true. I mean, it would have helped the younger child if the older sister is there. The older sister can do a little bit of coaching. I would be very interested, so long as we're going through with all of these dubs and everything, I would be very interested. And it'd be very difficult to sort of run it through this kind of lens or experience or whatever you want to say. But while I know that Miyazaki, Japanese is his primary language, and he's not, he's not directing these dubs, I'd be interested to just sort of get a read from him when he hears the tonal quality, whether he feels that it plugged into the spirit of everything. Because even if I go back and I watch the original with subtitles, then I'm still going to be coming at it with that sort of lack. Whereas even just tonally, you can hear something different when a dub is done. And I'd be very interested if, as the director of the work, there would be what his reaction would be to hearing that audio track. Whether it'd be like, no,
Right.
that's totally wrong for what I would have told those actors to do in terms of the emotion that they put behind whatever words they were saying.
Well, and with the dubbing, I mean, especially after his experience with Castle in the Sky and Nausicaa, where they were, editing and chopping and shifting and changing everything, he put his foot down for this one. And so that's why it's the Kusakabes. It's not like they don't Englishify any of the names. All the names are the same. They're, which I think is good, because I think it would have been weird if, like, we're the Smiths moving down the street from
and
you.
This is our bathhouse.
Yeah, it's like, no, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. But you need that part connected, to the story.
Side note. So I got the Blu-rays of this, and then I ripped them into an MP4, and I was scrubbing through to check the quality real quick. And the first thing I saw, literally the first thing I see, is the three of them in a bath together. And I knew nothing of the story, knew nothing about what was going on. I just see this man with two young girls in a bath. And I screenshot it and send it to Darren saying, "What the hell are you making me watch?"
And I'm like, that's unfortunate, but it is in context. It does make sense. But
Darren's like, "I promise this is a kid's movie. It's fine."
Go ahead, John.
Just speaking of bath and everything like that, I do think it's really interesting as well that the end credits wind up telling a continuing story of what happens after this point of the mom coming home. And
did you not watch the end credits, Tristan?
I didn't.
Shame on you. The mom comes home. There's even a new child born.
That Marvel ending, it was amazing. Where the
yeah, there's a
the
stinger
castle
at the end.
Lavatula comes over the mountain and bombs.
And then Ultron comes in with Scarlet Witch, and they attack the castle.
I'll do
in the
it
sky.
myself. It was amazing.
Yeah,
and then Ma comes out and says, I'm starting a Totoro initiative."
There you go. Exactly.
Gosh.
Wow. Okay, we've done it.
That's like the worst thing we ever written, but yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
It would
still better
sell
than
but you're right.
crazy.
It's the standard, like, cells, like individual images while the credits are rolling, telling that story. But go ahead, John. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just going to say it was so interesting because the opening credits have not that. It has a much
opening
more
credits. You feel like you're watching the Robin Hood Disney animated version where they're just walking across the screen.
Yeah.
I have expected like a
yeah, it's very much the same vibe. It's like, okay, guys, again, I do not know if this is the case, but it kind of feels like, okay, guys, we got $1,000 left in our budget. We need to make the opening intro. And I mean, again, it does its job. It does it as an intro, but it is very, very, very simple. I mean, it's like the same 5 animation cells on loop. But hey,
let me ask you this, Darren, because you have watched this with kids. I haven't watched it with any kids yet. Did your kids really plug into it? Is this something that resonates?
They love this movie. They love Totoro. Even because again, it's, if you think about it as like these different tones of now the house is scary, and then the wind picks up, and like these, it's kind of like a platter of different emotions that you're kind of conveying, and I think the kids enjoy kind of that ride. I mean, it's not a roller coaster, it's very subtle and tame, but and then you have the fantasy elements with Totoro and the dream and the trees growing and all this and flying and it builds, I mean, as a crescendo at the end. The music's playing and they're in the Kappas and Totoro's flying and they're going to find May, and it's but yeah, so the kids love this movie. I think it registers for them definitely. They'll ask to watch it again several times.
So taking that, and then we talked already about is there a cultural barrier sort of thing? I guess it's just easier for kids to push through that, but at the same time, I watch a Pixar movie and I get as much out of it as my kids do.
Right.
And so that's sort of the fascinating thing to me.
It's more of that child animation movie that is made for kids, that is not really on that dual level.
Right.
It didn't have that message you were looking for.
Well, but I mean, it's not even that. It's like it was so against not just my expectation of where the story might go in those terms, but after Nausicaa and then Castle in the Sky, it's such a radical departure in terms of structure and pacing.
I think that's
everything
what threw
like
me. Yeah. It may have been
right. Like if you said, "Hey, here's another Miyazaki," you're going to be like, "This is Miyazaki," because it does not. Like if you put these three up and be like, which one stands out as different? It's zero airships, zero, in the sky.
But seriously,
zero Mark Hamill.
The first two are much more what I expect from anime as well. Like that is the type of anime I watched when I was growing up, and that was that type of anime, whereas this is absolutely not. And so I'm wondering if also I'm carrying over just some of my own tastes that formed so many years ago, and that's why I'm having that trouble relating to Totoro. Is that this is so like I knew that anime that was more kid focused existed,
right?
But when I was a kid, I was watching stuff like the first two, and so I didn't. Even as a kid, I wasn't going for this flavor of everying. So maybe that plays a lot in it too.
Well, let's talk a moment visually. I think visually it's a very beautiful film. Like the backgrounds and the setting, the care they put into the house. Like the house is like a character. It's you feel like the layout and the way it is. And again, there's a bit of a cultural disconnect of we're not used to those kinds of houses and shoes off and everything's sliding doors and all of that. But what did you guys think of the visuals? Do you feel like the animation's progressing each film? I kind of do, as far as the texture, the look of the fur and the way they animate wind, and they're pushing themselves to kind of tell, visually. Like I love the beginning shots of just the calm. Like here we're going to show a shot of a stream, and a fish flowing for about 8 seconds, and now we're gonna, and I know that would be on Tristan's chopping block to make the film even shorter, but what did you guys think of the visuals on this? What do you think, John?
I liked them. I thought the character design was whimsical. Maybe Totoro didn't really grab me because I've at least seen the image of Totoro so many times, even not having seen this film. We already covered how the cat was horrifying.
Yes, we know how you feel about the cat bus.
But I did think that actually the color balancing and the lighting in this was more subtle. There was more of a light touch to things, probably because of the subject matter, or it could just be the fact that they're refining their methods as they go, and so this is a natural extension of that. In terms of the overall visually, did it grab me? Did it keep me the way that Nausicaa did? Honestly, no. Because I just thought that all of the design elements of Nausicaa were so cool. Like that's my headspace right there. Whereas this is fun and whimsical, and you've got basically like magical stuffed animals in the countryside. but I do think that
My Neighbor Totoro, magical stuffed animals in the country. I mean, you're not
There you go.
wrong, but
but I did like the way that they painted everything and the way that the colors worked. I thought it was good. And so that's where I wound up with it. Tristan, what about you? What did you think of the visuals here?
So I'm watching the credits right now to see what I missed.
What?
Shame on you.
The secret
Shame
ending.
on you.
I mean, there were no giant fireballs, Tristan, to blacken the sky. And
that's a shame. Visually, I thought it was I thought it was, in terms of artistic quality of what they were doing, I thought it was the same as the previous one. But at the same time, I felt like I kind of echo what John was saying, where when you look at something so intricately designed and imagined from Nausicaa and Castle, where you just look at the airships and the technology, the clothes.
This is everyday life. It's almost non-fantastical. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's a house. I mean, it's a beautiful house, but it's just a house.
Yeah, it's all well animated.
Not an airship house.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just like there's no. Maybe I'm. If this was my first experience of Miyazaki, maybe I would be viewing it differently. And I feel like oftentimes, and this isn't a fault of the filmmaker, this is the fault of my own expectations. I feel like I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. And so I was a little let down. Well, it's well animated and the color palette is, of course, beautiful. And you can see the little details here and there that really, set Miyazaki above the rest. But I think that's where I was kind of sad. What I felt was missing was the production design.
Which is probably just a casualty of the type of story this was. This isn't
exactly
that high.
That's
fantasy.
Why I really am trying to stress that it's not a fault of the filmmaker, but my own expectations.
It's interesting, though. I mean, obviously we can't go back in time, but it would be interesting to show you guys this first as kind of the introduction, and then continue through with Nausicaa, Castle, and Kiki's, because I think Nausicaa, Castle, and Kiki's are more of that higher fantasy. You're really drawn into the world. It is like, looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, this is kind of that we were on that vector, and then the third one, I'm not quite sure where they went with that, because it was like, let's tell a at-home event, and it was just a very different vibe. So maybe I didn't prepare you guys enough for the tonal shift we were going to get.
Well, but to that point, I could put myself into the mindset of, let's say I'm 11 or 12 years old, right? And I'm encountering all anime, and Miyazaki is in there, right? And just whatever circumstances or anything like that. And I'm a little proto hipster, so I'm seeking out all the coolest stuff. And I wind up encountering Nausicaa, and then I wind up encountering Castle. And then I hit this, and I've aged a little bit, over that time. You've already lost me as your audience. Definitely, if I've gone from like 11 in the first, watching the first movie,
so this
11
is capturing the next young generation,
right? And this is something I can walk out of and say, "Oh, okay, I can appreciate that." And yeah, my little brother or my little cousin like it plenty, but yeah, this isn't really what I go for.
It's more of a little kids movie.
Yeah. Yeah, which seems like such a mean and dismissive way to say it,
but it's not. It's
knowing your
audience.
Different. Yeah. This is who it's for. This is what it's about, and this is how it works. And if it works for the kid watching it, or all kids, here I am, a grumpy old man. If my kids watch it and they adore it, I'm all for it. That's great, awesome. You captured the audience.
I can say that my 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old, would be bored to tears with this. I think when she gets a little older, like if she could get more patience in her media, I think she would be able to enjoy this.
But it's not that short.
Right. It's not so much the 90 minutes. It's the going from scene to scene patience.
Well, the last thing to speak about, I would say, is the music. Again, sometimes get a short stick here on Houselights, but I think as the next installment by Hisashi, as he's done all of the ones and will do all of the 80s for Miyazaki. I enjoy the theme. I really inject the Totoro theme. I like the tonality we get. It's a full-on song pretty much at the end for the credits that we just watched. But what did you guys think of the music? I mean, you have the lighthearted trill as we're marching around, and it's not fantasy, it's not bombastic, but it's just everyday life. It's very much an everyday life kind of movie.
I thought the music was cute and fun. It was light. Probably it betrayed the tone. That not betrayed the tone, but it let me know it was never going to get too serious. And it's good music. It's not necessarily anything that I'm going to pop on and listen to. But it works with the material.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's very lighthearted. It's whimsical. It's fun. It's not as schizophrenic as Nausicaa, and I'll always appreciate that.
That's true. Nausicaa was a little bit all over the place. All right. Well, unless there's any other points you guys wanted to talk about, like to hear your guys' ratings of this. Again, these are 30-plus-year-old men watching our animated Totoros flying around in the forest. But John, what would you give this as a rank as a Miyazaki film?
First and foremost, thank you for de-aging me for this segment. I appreciate it.
30 plus is accurate. Am I not
That's
wrong?
True. I am older than 30. That is true. I'm going to wind up. Okay. I wind up coming in at a 3. I'm sorry. Nobody hate me. I know that everybody loves this movie, but I'm in at a 3. This is actually my least favorite of the 3 that we've watched so far.
No need to apologize. It is a bit different shift, and I think if you're expecting the trajectory of Miyazaki to continue, this is definitely a departure. I think you guys will enjoy Kiki's Delivery Service. It's a little more lively. It is not like a modern day. There are more fantasy into it. I'd say like it backs it up about half a step. It's heading more towards the other stuff, but not full on. There is an airship in it. I mean, if it's really
okay, see, the world is right.
I'm on board. Okay,
that works.
And Tristan, what about you? How would you rate Miyazaki's third film?
I was really disappointed with this, and not just from expectation, but just because I was actually really surprised because you hit it on the head, like in your opening speech about like how this movie is
situation, not a plot.
It's situation, not a plot. That is infuriating to me. Like after I finished it, I was just like, that wasn't a movie. That wasn't a movie. I was like, there was no rising action. There was no point of no return. There was barely a climax, and I was just like,
but now that you've watched the credits, it all makes sense, right?
It all puts it together. It is the key that unlocked the door. No, I was very disappointed in this. I mean, at certain times I was just kind of like, I was like, okay, Tristan, well, you really like Terrence Malick, and he likes really long nature shots. So why aren't you enjoying this? And I couldn't answer that, but I was just like, good Lord. Like when we first started, when we got to the 30-minute mark, and that we still hadn't introduced any kind of plot. I was like, okay, strap in. and I was just like, we spent like 30 seconds on a log. I was like, oh God. It's like, you can do it. And then I was like, after I finished it, I was like, all right. There's only one more 80s Miyazaki film. There's only one more 80s.
I mean, I told you a different pace. Maybe I should have emphasized that a little more. Said it's going to be different, guys. It's going to be different.
So I unfortunately, not just because I'm the wrong audience and not just because of my expectations, but because I think this is not only a bad movie, it's not a movie. And since it's not a movie, I'm giving it a 2.
See, I'm so grateful for you right now, Tristan. Here we are in the week of Thanksgiving as we record this, and I am thankful for the fact that you've
Burning
now
people's
drawn
childhoods.
you have drawn all of the fire off of me. I thought I was going to get shot here. And enjoy. Reach out to him at the Insane Robin. Darren, what did you think?
I'm gonna dig my grave even deeper.
Oh gosh.
Oh God.
Because I know that all the
are we why not?
No.
Just go for it.
I know that all the Miyazaki bros are gonna come after me, and they're gonna make fun of me. And it's
I don't
not
think
that I
that's what
don't
they
like
call
anime.
themselves, but okay.
I don't know what else to call them.
Miyazaki-nites?
No, just stop. Just don't even. Just try.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jason.
Okay, so this movie did not turn a profit when it was first released. And it wasn't until 2 years later that they made a profit from merchandising.
Mm.
That is what I think people remember about this movie, is that Totoro is a big, fluffy, stuffed animal. John, what did you call these things? Like magical stuffed animals running around the forest?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that like that's why you see Totoro in shops. Like that's why you see him as stuffed animals. That's why he's immediately recognizable. And it's again, like I'm digging my grave here, but I feel like that's what people remember about this movie. That's what people take away from this movie.
When it's
like,
really like 10% of the movie.
Right. Like you remember 10% of this movie. You don't remember the 90 minutes, the full 90 minutes of how this is situation, not plot. You remember the 10 minutes of Totoro and how plush he is and how indie you think you are by buying your little kid a Totoro doll and putting it on Instagram. Like that's what this movie is.
I mean, that's true. If you imagine this movie without Totoro, like no Cat Bus, no Totoro, like you cut out that 10 minutes or whatever, like, yeah, this movie is no movie in that at all. Well, I give Totoro a 3. And that's more for, I enjoy kind of the pace and the calm, but didn't age as well for me watching it by myself this time. And I think I stated that up front. Like watching this with your kids is a different experience than watching it by yourself. Even if I wasn't analyzing it, because obviously that's another lens of looking at it. But yeah, I was kind of like, okay, it, like I wasn't waiting for the end to get here to finally end it, but I'm like, I'm glad this is only 86 minutes. It is what it is. But and yeah, so again, watch this film with your kids. I think you'll get a much better enjoyment out of it. But Tristan,
I
if
think
someone
that's a
wanted,
real thing.
oh yeah,
I think that's a real thing about like either
Absolutely.
watching with your kids or what. Like there are things that I didn't enjoy the first time, and I watched it with my wife, and she enjoyed it so much that like that kind of through osmosis kind of went over to me.
And it's okay
there's
for an
a lot of
animated
times,
movie to be for kids, but like you guys have said, I mean, we're spoiled kind of by Pixar, where it works on these dual levels where we enjoy it just as much as our children do. Not every time, but for most of the time. John's looking dubious.
Oh no! I whenever we have conversations like this, I mean, never mind the fact that watching Castle in the Sky with my kids, they liked it so much that it definitely improved my enjoyment of it. But I'm always reminded of when my wife finally saw The Force Awakens, which was, I think, my second time. And as I was going through my litany of problems that I had with it on the way home, she looked at me and she said, "You really just need to watch a movie like a normal person sometime." And it was such a humbling moment where I said, "Okay, all right, I'll take the kids to go see this, and if they like it, et cetera, et cetera." So totally a real thing. Totally,
it's really funny that you bring up the sequels because when I saw The Last Jedi in the theater, I was surrounded by children. And I was like, oh man, this is going to suck. Like they're going to talk through it. I'm just going to get frustrated. But they were so into it. And like everything that happened on screen, you heard like, oh man, what? Like you just like, they were just
surprised.
They were laughing.
Star Wars is made for children. Like it
always
has been, always will be.
No,
they were so into it that I was into it. And so I thoroughly enjoyed the movie in the theater. And then when I watched it at home, I was like, this movie sucks.
Look, which one of us has a Star Wars podcast, John?
I will simply offer that all of those children are most likely going to grow up to become killers if they were reacting that positively. So, listen, even my kids came out of The Last Jedi, and they had no idea how I felt about it, and they came out of The Last Jedi saying, "I didn't really like that." And even my wife came, and she loves she loves everything. She gives everything a shake because she never remembers how it ends anyway. And she came out of it, and she looked at me and she said, she was afraid to tell me. She thought I was going to have loved it. She was like, I didn't really like it. And I could see the visible relief when I said, that's okay. I didn't either. She was like, oh, thank God. Like, it was just a moment where
thank God I don't
I
have to
could see
listen to you singing its praises on the drive home as I do.
Exactly. But I don't know how we went down that. So did Totoro.
No. Stop saying that curse word.
I expected a plot.
I know, I'm sorry. I thought I'd throw a grenade into the conversation right before we ended.
Don't even.
And if anybody wasn't angry at us when we were giving the ratings for My Neighbor Totoro, they're furious with us now.
Now we're bashing.
Wait, are you saying the Venn diagram of My Totoro lovers and The Last Jedi lovers is a circle? Because I'm not quite sure.
Man, I would love to figure that out.
We're about to find out. Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Tristan, if someone wanted to contact you in that grave you dug for yourself, where would they find you?
You can find me on Letterboxd and Twitter at KesselJunkie, KESSELGJUNKIE, lowercase k. It's never capitalized.
Never ever capitalized. And you can find me out there as at the Insane Robin, sharing my crazy caustic tweets about movies that you love. And just look for that username anywhere and hurl the worst. Bring your worst. Seriously, just attack me. Be vicious about it. I don't care.
I'm trying to think of what's Matt Rushing's username. No.
That would be Matt Rushing 02. He is 02. The worst. You gotta attack him.
No. They can find me at drsci-fi.com as well as here on the Nerd Party Network, where we have many amazing shows for you to listen to. They don't have to be about Star Wars. They don't have to be about Miyazaki. We have other things we can talk about. We have making, we have movies, we have review shows, all sorts of amazing things. Go to thenerdparty.com and check all of those out. So one more week, guys, of Miyazaki. We planned past that. Thank you again for indulging me in these films. I'm glad you've been enjoying the first two, and I am enjoying discussing them with you. I mean, this wouldn't be a fun show if we all gave everything 5s and agreed on every single point. Like, that would be boring.
Absolutely.
And not
would.
fun.
Yes, it would.
No, I'm having a blast. Honestly, even if I don't enjoy them as much as I thought I would,
which is okay.
Wanted to,
you're not required.
I'm enjoying watching them because I've always wanted to watch them. And I, of course, enjoy talking about them.
Yep. Good pull up from that nosedive at the last second. Well, next week we're going to be talking about 1989. So I don't know how fast they made it because it's the next year. I'm sure they're working on them in tandem, but dear Lord, we're going to be covering Miyazaki's Kiki's Delivery Service here on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.